Hi, it's Miss Gromberg here. We're going to be starting a poetry unit over the next couple weeks or so. This week, I just want to introduce one poem to you, and that'll be 3 lessons because there's 3 stanzas. So we're just going to break up the poem into 3 different parts. And this is a poem I remember hearing for the first time when I was in grade 7, but I'm excited to share it with you. It's The Echoing Green by William Blake. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, but you're going to have to wait until the end of the week to hear the whole poem. So I'm going to read it, but I do recommend that actually if you haven't read the first stanza yet, to read it on your own first, because I find we each have kind of this natural rhythm. Poetry has like a beautiful rhythm to it, and I read it a certain way and you might read it a different way. And I don't want to take that away from you if you haven't read it on your own yet, okay? Because yeah, you'll have your own rhythm. This is how I do read it though, with this rhythm. So The Echoing Green by William Blake. I'll show it to you. So I like writing it out. Like I really enjoy writing out poetry because I find it slows my thinking, and I get a different meaning out of it or I get more out of it when I actually write it down. So I do encourage you don't have to, but I do encourage you to actually write it out. And if you do it like stanza by stanza, it won't be as much work, of course, as doing the whole thing at once. So here we go. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush, sing louder around to the bell's cheerful sound, while our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. All right, so that's the first stanza of the poem. If you're like me, one time's never enough to read it, and I actually do recommend you read it quite a few times. But what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of paper. It could be any paper. I have colorful paper at home, so I'm kind of gravitating towards that. So anyways, you're going to make a sun, and that's the first step, okay? And then what you're going to do is divide it up into 3. So it doesn't really matter. I made mine like a peace symbol, as long as it's divided somehow into 3. I thought that's the easiest way really though. So 1, 2, 3, because we're going to do 3 different things. And then what we're going to do is read the poem again. Actually, we will read it again 3 times. So it'll be 4 times altogether really that we read it. So the first time I read it, well, first time just read the whole thing. And you might just read it, try to get meaning out of it. If there's any challenging words, we've worked on different activities that you can do to help strengthen vocabulary. So I would write those down. If there's any challenging words, find out the definition. Okay, so if you don't know what they mean, that's the first step always. And then what you're going to do is I see, I think, I hear. So I'm going to read it and I'm going to write down the things I see. So as I'm reading it. So what I'm going to do is just read and write things I see. So the sun does arise. So right away I can see the sun rising. So what time of day would it be if the sun is rising? The sun will arise. So I see the morning sunrise. I love that. I love watching the morning sunrise. I actually probably prefer that even over the sunset because I feel excited for the day ahead. And it's just, the sky is sometimes like pink and lots of beautiful colors. So that's something I've always really enjoyed doing. And I'm thankful I can see it. Well, I don't usually see the sun, but I can see the colors of the clouds and the dark, it was the dark night sky, of course. You wake up in the morning. And then I love watching that transition, that change from darkness to light. So the morning sun rising. So that's what I see. Let's keep reading. And make happy the skies. Ooh, so what do you think that means? Like make happy the skies. You might have a visual that you see, like that's when you paint a picture in your mind. So I'm just going to keep morning sun rising, and then beautiful, beautiful blue skies. Blue sky. I'm picturing that. Although I love the pink sky. I'm picturing a blue sky for some reason in this poem. So once again, you're going to maybe like add your thoughts to it. So even though it doesn't say blue skies, I did write, there we go, morning, sun rising. It does say that. I mean, we know it's morning because the sun is rising. And then beautiful, I added blue. So that's something I'm imagining as I'm reading the poem. So that's fine. It's the picture that you're painting in your mind. And it does make sense for what I'm reading. Okay, so the merry bells ring to welcome the spring. Okay, so it's springtime. You might even say you see flowers blooming, flowers, trees are full, right? In the winter, you see like mostly, like you see a lot of bare trees. So now green trees and so forth. So you might add more. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush. So I see birds and the bells, cheerful sounds. I wonder, are those school bells? I'm just going to write school bells ringing. It doesn't say school bells, but I wonder, maybe it's summertime. Well, no, it's springtime. Maybe it's spring break. I'm just thinking now, because you wouldn't hear school bells ring, the kids would be at school if they're outside all day. So maybe I might change that. I'm going to keep bells. I might think of some other sort of bell you might hear. It could be like, yeah. Anyways, I know when I'm in Quebec, actually, my grandma lived right across the church where my mom and dad got married, and you'd hear the church bell ring. So now I'm kind of thinking of that, of the sound of bells ringing. It would ring. I think they used to ring every hour, but they don't anymore. So it's kind of sad when they stopped doing that. But it's a beautiful sound to hear. Anyways, sing louder around to the bells' cheerful sound, while our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. Okay, so I see a field. So that's what I see. So I wrote down all the things that I see. So now I've read it once. What am I going to do now? Read it again, okay? But then look at what I think. So I see morning sun rising, beautiful blue sky, the spring flowers blooming, green trees. I see the birds, bells ringing. Maybe I see church bells ringing. I might add that. I was going to say school, but then I thought, well, they're all outside playing. I don't think you'd hear the school bells. And then a field, okay? You might think of something else that the bells could be. So now I'm going to go read it again and say what I think. In order to save time, I might, I want you to read it again and write down what you think, but I don't want this video to be too long. So I'm going to just tell you what I think this stanza is about, okay, for the echoing green. So I think this is about kids playing on a field. So I'm just going to write that. You might write more. I think this is about kids waking up. So I'm adding a little bit, waking up in the morning to go play outside. I'm writing very fast. To go play outside. Oops, that's 2 words. That's fine. I was going to do that. On the field. So once again, I just did a little slash because there should be a space here, but that's fine. So I think this is about kids waking up in the morning to go play outside on the field. I'm going to add up here, waking up. This is about kids waking up early in the morning. So I just added a little bit there. Okay, so then I would read it again, and then I'm going to write the things I hear. And you know what, for this, you could I chose to do I see, I think, I hear, but when you're reading poetry, you might choose something else. The 5 senses are a great place to start. You could also take notes, like the first time reading, just write anything that you hear or that you think of while you're reading it, anything at all. So it doesn't have to be specific. But I thought for this one, this would make sense just because it's called the echoing green. And what is an echo, right? So it's a sound repeating. So I feel like sounds are probably going to be an important part of this poem. So I want to listen to the sounds in each stanza. And if I don't hear sounds, then you might hear silence. Okay, so if it's not, you have to think, what kind of sounds might you hear if it doesn't say it specifically? But in this stanza, it does specifically say the sounds. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring. So I hear bells ringing. Ringing to welcome the spring. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush. So I hear the birds singing, bells ringing, birds singing. And singing, okay. and sing louder. So birds singing, and then it gets louder to the bell's cheerful sound. Well, our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. It doesn't say it, but I can hear children playing happily. Because the kids, it says the sports shall be seen. So birds singing, children maybe laughing, talking as they're playing. Okay, so this is what it looks like, just like that. So I hear bells ringing, birds singing, children laughing, talking. And you can notice I'm not writing incomplete sentences. I'm just taking notes. So I'm getting my ideas out. So that's one idea for something you could do after you've read the first stanza of The Echoing Green by William Blake. So feel free to change it up. So when you hand in your assignment, I would like you to show me you've read it and that you understand it. This is one idea how you could show me your understanding of the first stanza of the poem. But you might draw me a picture and write what it means. But you definitely write something so I know, or record something. That's fine. You can be creative. But for the next 3 lessons, I'm going to use something, a similar format. So if you want to use this, you can. So I really hope you enjoyed this poem as much as I did when I was a kid, and I still love it now. I find the things I enjoy now is what I was exposed to as a child. And so it might take a few exposures or a few times reading it and listening to it to appreciate it. But everyone has different tastes too. But I do also believe that when something's familiar, it becomes we start to appreciate it more. So I look forward to seeing you again. There'll be another lesson tomorrow about the second stanza. See you then. Bye.